Happy Friday, everyone. Great to see you all in the room. Everybody looks fantastic. Yes, we're still continuing in Women's History Month, and what a just great day. Yes, we're inspired by every woman's potential to lead, to make change, to empower others, and when necessary, to have your sisters back, for sure. Because women have been standing up, showing up to do the work since day one on this earth. So it's important that we celebrate women's history and their achievements and make sure that we tell their story. And that's what we're here to do today. We have a fantastic lineup for women's history, some movers and shakers in the room today. So I hope that you're ready. So let's get perked up. I hope you have your coffee by your side, your lunch, and of course, a friend, as we always say. I'm Catherine White, your host of the weekly Friday Power Lunch. This is the show that brings you the guests, the issues, and the action in one big room, because we love to amplify the voice of the grassroots to get things done, and of course, to make politics fun. And you know we're good at that. So yes, it is March 25th, and like I said, spring has sprung. It's a sunny day, just loving it. And we're glad you're here with us today. But today we're going to switch things up a little bit. Before we introduce our lineup of great guests, I want to bring up co-host, the fantastic, fabulous Fennell Norton, my friend. How are you?
I am doing fantastic today, Catherine. Just fantastic. I'm so thrilled to be here. A great lineup for today.
I know we have a lot of women to talk about. We talk about telling her story. And so let's put up the special tributes that we do have. Robin, if you want to put that up, because like we were saying, Fennell, it is about telling the story. And today we want to honor, we're paying a tribute to our dear friend, Yvonne Lewis, who passed away last week. You know, if many of you in this room may know her, she's just a constant in our hearts for the power lunch and for the after chat. So we lost her last week. She was an equality warrior, Delta Sigma Theta sorority sister, and voting rights activist. And all of you in Virginia Beach, raise your hand. You probably knew Yvonne. And so she is just one of the original members of the after chat. So today we're in honor of her, and it just feels like not enough, really. We're going to spend some time in the after chat just telling her story. We hope you'll join us. We all love the after chat. So for now, I don't know what your thoughts on are of this.
Yeah, I do. And so Catherine, when I joined and started to come to the Power Lunch, I can remember the very first one and everyone after that you would always highlight Yvonne and say, Yvonne, tell me what's going on in Virginia Beach. So I always know who were the first by that. So yeah, this is a great honor today that we are making a tribute to.
So yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's also when we talk about standing on our foremothers' shoulders, we also today are remembering Dr. Madeleine Albright, the 64th U.S. Secretary of State. She's the first female to hold this position, 1997. So yes, it is sad that we lost her. And today we just want to make sure we're telling her story as well. And lastly, I'll let you take this one.
Yes. So KBJ and Catherine, you started that and we're going to finish it. KBJ. So RBJ, now we have KBJ. And so RBG, now we have KBJ. This is pretty awesome. And this has been at times so hard to watch, but then at times so proudful in terms of just her composure and temperament, and that she is an example for all. And I can tell you, clearly her daughter thinks that her mom is an example by the way that she's looking at her.
Yeah, I want to say the things that stuck with me yesterday was when Cory Booker looked at her and says, you have earned this spot. You are worthy. And that's what this show is talking about today when we talk about telling our story, her story, making sure that women are included, part of history, obviously, people of color, Indigenous, you name it. It's really telling a complete story. So I hope today that lights up the room of really doing memory making, because it is so important. It actually adds the value to everybody when we actually really kind of get down to what we're about and figure out. It helps us decide how to get into action. So we also know that the Congresswoman Elaine Luria is here, and I want to make sure she has to leave early. So we're flipping things around as we do on the Friday Power Lunch. Fennell, I would love to introduce the Congresswoman and let you take it from here.
Well, Great, Catherine. So good to see you and Fanal. And, I think that you have some wonderful people you've honored today. Of course, here in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads, we know Yvonne well, really appreciate all her work she's done over the years on all of these issues. And I have a little hint that it's someone's birthday today. So I heard that it's Stair's birthday. So happy birthday, Stair. And I apologize. I really can only stay a few minutes, but wanted to hop on. I'm headed off to Isle of Wight to meet with Senator Warner. And some local community leaders. But, the second district is tough. Redistricting was not our friend down here, and it's really going to be a huge fight to keep this district blue. We flipped it in 18, we held on to it in 20 in a year which was not good across the country for Democrats, but the 3 Virginia women held on, and we plan to be able to hold on to these seats again. We only have a majority of 4 in the House. It's actually 6 right now. Unfortunately, we've had a couple recent deaths, but those will be filled with special elections. So we have a fight on our hands, and I know that you guys have always been so helpful all across the Commonwealth and down here in Hampton Roads with the calls and the postcards and coming down to knock doors and all of the things that you've done to make sure that we can reach voters. About 40% of the district is new. 60% is the same. So still have the Eastern Shore and Virginia Beach, but now run along the North Carolina border and have places like Suffolk, Franklin, Isle of Wight, and a little bit of Southampton County, and really Chesapeake is kind of the parts of Chesapeake that we have are the reddest parts. And so we just have a tough fight to reach voters there and make sure that we can keep this seat blue. It leans Republican by about 5 points now. So, but Biden did win it by a little over a point, so that we know that it's doable. We just have to get folks out to vote. So thank you again for everything that you guys do, and just look forward to working with you again as we move forward. And we've got to keep all of our Virginia incumbents back. In 18, we went from a 4-7 to a 7-4 delegation. We have just a great team, and we work so well together, and looking forward to having the whole Virginia blue part of our delegation come back and keep working together.
So Elaine, I know that you have to go, but I just have to, first of all, full disclosure, I am in Elaine's district, and she is amazing, and we absolutely love her here. She is not just here.
Fanal, we love you too. The whole shore loves and knows Fanal, and it's been so great to work with you.
So you support us. I mean, this is what's so important. Not only do you support us financially, but you support us with your presence. And so these other folks who get to be a part of the district, they're very, very lucky. So it just to save time, there are just a couple of things we really want to talk to you about. So you are on the 1-6 committee. We have all this happening with Ukraine. So I'd just like to give you a couple of minutes to just update us where you can on those 2 really big major issues that you're a part of right now.
Well, Fanal, I probably could talk for an hour on those topics, but I'll just say really briefly about the 1-6 committee. I mean, this is a hugely important task that we have. We need to make sure that the American public understands what happened that day, everything that led up to January 6th, and our committee having a legislative objective to make sure that we propose solutions, fixes, things that can prevent something like that from happening in the future. It's the largest investigation that really has ever been undertaken by Congress. We've interviewed, I'm trying to think of the most current number. I think we've interviewed about 700 people, have close to 100,000 documents, and the investigation goes on in so many areas. Things such as failures in law enforcement that day, follow the money, who funded these things, disinformation online, the false electors. And, those of you who've been sort of following kind of the broad details of it can imagine the amount of depth and number of people that we need to speak to get to the bottom of this. As far as Ukraine is concerned, I think that, we all are horrified by what we see by Vladimir Putin's unprovoked and unjustified invasion of Ukraine. If there's anything that he's been successful at, it's bringing NATO and the West together. The fact that we have been unified, we've implemented strict sanctions, we have provided both military and humanitarian assistance, and that effort continues. And I would say that effort continues at full swing and with the whole of government. We had appropriated in our recent omnibus that we passed an additional $13 billion in security and humanitarian assistance for Ukraine. And I think it's firing on all cylinders to get as much useful military equipment that we can there, as much humanitarian aid, and was very pleased yesterday to hear the president's remarks about bringing 100,000 Ukrainian refugees to the United States. So that work continues. As you know, I'm the vice chair on the Armed Services Committee, so I'm very focused on that. And I'm so sorry that I can't stay longer, but I have to drive out to Isle of Wight and meet with the senator in a few minutes. So I do have to jump off, but I'm sure this will be one of many opportunities for us to connect, throughout the campaign cycle. And thank you everybody for all the work you do, and look forward to being with you again soon.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Own right.
Yes, Elaine, I know you have to run, and I have to say yesterday to get in the car and get ready, it's a whole different world than just go virtual to virtual. So I understand. Thank you for being here. We're going to be there to support you. We're coming down to Norfolk for the Women's Summit. So in September. All right. Thank you, Elaine and Fennell. Thank you, my friend. It's going to be a great show. Let's introduce the guests. Why don't we bring up our first guest? Because we're, like I said, we're doing things a little differently today. Great to see the Congresswoman. Rebecca SIVE is here, author, activist, political strategist, motivational speaker, and she's here to talk about her new book, because she's written a few, Making Her Story Your Story. So Rebecca, I want to say welcome first, and then we'll get to your segment in a bit. How are you doing?
I'm thrilled to be here with you all. It's just so energizing. So it's my favorite thing to do is to be with committed political women. So thanks for having me.
I know, I'm really excited because I think one thing I'm realizing when we talked about, especially the last couple of years of COVID and everything, I feel like this journal is a really good, maybe one of the answers to helping us sort of get back or, into it by actually getting into ourselves a little bit. So we appreciate that. All right. So thank you, Rebecca. I'm really looking forward to that. And I don't know if Danica Roem is still in the room. I know she had a merge call, but Delegate Danica Roem, HD13, is here because she is now the executive director of Merge Virginia. So we're excited to talk to Danica when she gets back into the room. You won't want to miss it, as you know. And then lastly, we have two candidates that are running for Congress, Victoria Versing and Ali Dalsimer. Hi, ladies, are you in the room?
I'm in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's Victoria and
hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good
Oh, there they are.
Well,
Super excited to be here today.
Thanks for having us on. It's such a I've been watching the show for so long, and I can't believe I get to speak my truth today.
I love it.
I feel the same.
Ali, let me ask you, what's your favorite book on the bookshelf?
So yeah, the first book that came to mind on that was Lord of the Rings. Because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and frankly, everything that's been going on with Ukraine and with Russia, building this dominion of power and attacking innocent people, and as you mentioned, NATO and the allies coming together to that really first came to mind. But then I looked at my bookcase and I decided maybe coming of the New Deal, which was the age of Roosevelt, might be more relevant to my campaign. So I'm gonna go with a two-pronged answer on that one.
Two-pronged answer. And Victoria, how about you? Favorite book?
All the Light We Cannot See.
Oh, I read that for book club, but yeah, that is
very powerful narrative.
Wow,
very
thick book. This is the right room to be in, because this is really about women making history as running in candidates in your districts, running as challengers. So we're excited to talk to you later about your campaigns, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bringing the light, as we say. All right, so what we do every week is ask for your help. You're part of the show. You're our crew. And we would love for your help to bring us up on social media. Tweet at us. Go to our YouTube channel. The links are in there, and like those YouTube channels. Share them with your friend. There's nothing better than to sit on the couch and watch a past show. Especially last week with Resistorhood. I see CJ in the room, and we are partnering with Resistorhood this month, and we'll talk more about making sure that you guys are buying the tickets to show Resistorhood with your friends. And that's one way. Another way we're going to empower this election season. So CJ, so glad we're going to do some spins later for some swag too. And also Stair, happy birthday, my dear friend. Aries women are tough badasses. I'm an Aries too. Oh, wait, are you a Taurus? You may be a Taurus, right? I'm thinking. Oh, okay. Anyways, I think we're Aries.
Of course not, Catherine. Oh, what? Give me a break.
I know you're an Aries, right? So our story is we met, we're friends, and we're Aries. So watch out, everybody. But Stair spends a lot of time doing the badass briefings and the Tuesday tidbits. So make sure you subscribe to that. And of course, today, our special tribute is to Yvonne Lewis, our dear friend, in the after chat. Lastly, support women who do things like us doing the show every week. We would love it. And become a patron of the show for a small $5, $10, $25 a month. You could support our show. We really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to new patrons. Yay! Jeffrey Jacobs, Shirley Hoddit, Ginge, I don't want to say the last name right. It's wrong. Savigny and Michelle Moore. Thank you so much for that. All righty. And lastly, but not least, our crew. Stair, the birthday girl, is here, the ambassador of Buzz. Hello, Stair, Robin Warner, Show Wizard, and Heidi Dragneff, of course, our Twitter guru. And our Zoom crew today is Shamara Brown and Laura Martinez, letting people in the room and kicking your butt out if you just misbehave. So thank you, everybody, for being here. My favorite part of the show is when LUISA Boyarski, the Grassroots Coalition leader, comes in and tells us what's going on in Virginia and what we're going to do about it. Hi, LUISA.
Great to be here with you, Catherine, and everybody else in the Zoom room. So the good news is, as I've said, the legislative session is over. Oh, but it's not, because we're coming back to work on the budget. It was supposed to be at the end of April. It is now April 4th. So you may see some last minute calls to action from me. I'll share them with Stair as well to get out to you guys. Please take action if you see these. It's going to be very critical because we're making big decisions on where money is getting invested in Virginia. One of the areas we want to hold the governor's feet to the fire on is education. He ran on that topic. He should fund it. And we want to make sure that he is hearing from us and our legislators are hearing from us about where we think that money should go. So stay tuned on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was redistricting, which was just brought up by Congressman Luria. And we have some really exciting opportunities. I'm going to look at the House this week. So I'm going to put the link for VPAP, where they've done some really excellent analysis on what our districts are going to look like. And the good news is there are about, 10 to 12 districts that are going to be sort of up in the air, vulnerable seats for the next 10 years based on these lines. But those are going to be some vulnerable for us and some vulnerable for the right. And so here's the detail. We have 3 seats where we have incumbent Democrats that are definitely vulnerable because of these new lines. One is the new seat 22, which is Michelle Maldonado's seat in Prince William County. It is now a 7+R district. So if you are thinking about where should I spend some time, that is an important district to look at. Another district is Nadarius Clark's district. It's the new 84 in Hampton Roads. It is now a 2.3. Oh, it's actually a 2.3D district. So we want to watch that, but he did just sneak through. We want to make sure that we have got support for him. And then the other D to watch is Rodney Willett. He's in Henrico County. He also is not doing okay. He's a 4.7D district, but it's one that we want to watch and we want to make sure we're supporting. Then we've got some open seats where we want to, or they're incumbent seats of Republicans as well, where we have a really good opportunity because they've redistricted these to be Democratic seats. So these seats to look at are number 94 is an open seat in Norfolk. Number 55 is an incumbent seat in Albemarle County, but it's now an 11.7D seat. We should be winning that, and we need to make sure there's some good Democrats running. And then another great seat to look at is 76. The incumbent is Roxanne Robinson in Chesterfield County. It is now an 18.5D seat. That should also become a Democratic stronghold. So wanted to let you know there's some really great opportunities. And then there are 5 seats where it's a little Republican, but it's just a little Republican. And those are seats we also want to be looking at. So those new numbers are seat 21, seat 65, seat 57, seat 82, and seat 97. You can see all of this on that VPAP link, but I wanted to get people excited because yes, we're going to be working on congressional races this year, but we're really going to be trying to work with our House and Senate seats to get them involved ASAP. We need their names out there. We need them in front of voters. We want Democrats to be fired up to vote, not only this year, but also in 2023.
Is that it?
That's it.
Well, that was good because I agree with you. I was thinking about laying this infrastructure for the House races while we work on the congressional. I mean, who knows? Any news if we're really going to run or not? We don't know.
we still don't know. And they still keep saying, well, we can still sneak it in. We could still do a summer primary, like a late summer primary. So that's the other reason we should not assume that these House races are off the table this year. We need to get active in these districts.
I actually think the smarter way, I would have started this month, is acting like we are running, because that's the key to actually building out our infrastructure year round, is not acting like, oh, separate race, a different year, separate race, a different year. So, and I was thinking when you're naming all those numbers, anybody in the room that wants to play the lottery, a lot of good numbers there today. Put those in the chat. I think they're winners. So
there you go. Perfect.
Thank you, Elisa, for being here. So thank you, everybody. And I'm just really excited to get to our next guest, and such a pleasure to meet her and have her in the room. The author, oh my gosh, not just an author. So her resume, she is the author of the book we're going to discuss today, Making Her Story Your Story. But she also has penned 2 other books, Voter In, and the other one is, it's called, which I haven't read, Every Day as Election Day, A Woman's Guide to Winning Any Office from the PTA to the White House. And what an important book that is.
Right. Thank you.
I mean, in the room, you have so many activists and people that are leaders and candidates. So this is the place for you today. You're a political strategist, a media strategist. You had a podcast, which I can't wait to hear, actually listen to more, 2 Broads Talking Politics. You are really what we call a feminist that's been part of this history making in the room. So thank you for being here today. So let's talk a little bit about you as you. You wrote these other books. The Voter In was really about setting the bar super high. Let's elect a woman president. And the idea that that would really just set the stage for electing women basically anywhere. Right. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, thanks everybody. I'm thrilled to be here with you and can't wait to continue to read about what you're doing and hear about it. As far as Voter In is concerned, I think a lot of you know this, and you were talking about legislative districts. We're doing fairly well in the legislatures around the country, not as well as we should be, but where we really have an enormous challenge still is in executive office, statewide offices, right? And of course, in the presidency and the vice presidency. So Voter In really laid out the strategy for achieving executive office. And several key messages there, but one I want to just focus on right now is, and you all know this, but it just bears repeating for the races this year. If every woman understands what's at stake for her and can realize that she is better off with the kind of agenda all of us put forth, we can win every race, including those executive offices.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's so important. So let's talk about now. Here you understand the playing field, what's going on, and what is at risk for women. And I know this room is filled with women activists. Right. Let's talk about this book. Why now? What inspired you? What were you thinking? Obviously, you're strategic. Voter In was very strategic, and getting women to run for office and start to think about this. But why her story?
Well, you know what? I think I felt the way a lot of us felt, which is, when the lockdown started, the pandemic started, it was, of course, enormously sad, wanting to be careful, take care of my family, but at the same time, as an activist, committed to figuring out something I could do to be helpful. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not an EMT. And what I thought about was the notion that once we exited this pandemic, we were going to need every tool possible to focus on these elections and electing progressive candidates and having more women in leadership. And the idea of taking the time for each of us, for ourselves, to not only get the training we need, to not only join with other people in organizing and recruiting and canvassing all that, but to take the time for yourself to, record your own dream, right? Your own ambitions for leadership. And so I looked around at the journals on, the web, and there really wasn't anything. And I thought, well, let me see if there's a publisher. Let me see if I can get this done. So that was the inspiration. And I was pleased to be able to work hard on it and get it published. And, it's now out there. And I think it's a good complement to the group work to have this personal workbook to use as you develop your own activism.
Yeah, so tell us about, you refer to it as a tool, right? And that activists can use to find and raise their voices. So tell us a little bit more about the journaling aspect of it. And especially you're a writer, about what writing down this means. But for the activist that starts to get your book and starts to work way through that, tell about the importance of this journaling part.
The idea is, that when we think about what we want to accomplish ourselves, right? That there's a thought process, there's a strategy. And so the way the journal is laid out is 3 sections: imagine, create, organize. So you're going to imagine the project you want to work on. What is it that I want to do? I want to start a women's center in my town, whatever it is. You're then going to sort of create the concept fairly clearly in your own mind. And then in the last section of the journal, you're going to sort of get down to brass tacks. What are the logistics of this? How am I going to get it done? So there are 45 double-page spreads. You can't really see here, but
right.
With an inspirational graphic. These graphics are really, I think, wonderful. A set of pointers, prompts in journalism, journal language, and then a message there about what's important. So, for instance, on the opening page of Imagine, it begins, and these were obviously deliberate choices on my part. The graphic there is, they tried to bury us, they didn't know we were seeds. We are going to rise again, right?
Right.
So that's the way it's laid out. And then at the back of the journal, there are several sort of special lists you can make, quotes I want to remember that mobilize me, women I want to read more about who inspire me. And one thing I was sharing this with another group yesterday. I did what I called Rebecca's alphabet. And so I took A through Z. A is agitate, Z is zest. The idea there is these are action words for you to think about as you journal your own journey to activism. One other thing I want to say that you'll see when you look at it or use it is, the other thing I wanted to do was make the point that every woman can, right? It's not not just the powerful. It's not just people who were, and of course the hearings this week for Judge Jackson just absolutely underscored that point. I mean, I get shivers when I think about it. But the point here is each of us, every single one of us has the power to act, the power to organize, the power to dream big. And the purpose of the journal is to guide you in doing that. One last thing I just want everyone to know, I did say to the publisher, this is important to me as a sort of legacy project in a way, I want to make the book widely available.
Yes.
And so he agreed. And so the book is available to movement organizations in bulk orders of 10 or more at $5 per copy.
So it sounds like to me, because as you were just speaking, actually, I was thinking this book sounds like it's a great book for a group to like women's. I know that the Women's March people are doing these sister circles. Right. It really sounds like a great book to do together, because when I've done something like this, but not around this specific subject, and sometimes you just get through that book and you don't continue. So it's really great when you have what we call somebody keeping you accountable, right?
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because my vision, and I think I talk about this in the journal too, is that we each take the time for ourselves and then we share with our group, whatever group that is. And the group can get bigger, it can get smaller, but the notion is that we encourage each other, that we organize together, that we educate ourselves. Absolutely, that's the notion. And sisters in this movement and effort for justice.
No, I love it. So I think we should do it in the room when we talk about right now with everybody in the room. Why don't we set up this activity, about writing your story? If you want to set that up, we can, we'll do something out of her story. Or do you have any idea how we can go ahead and we can have people answer in the chat? Do you want to lead this activity with people?
Sure. So thank you. That's a wonderful idea. So if you look, you'll see when you look at the book, I hope, but I'll read it to you here. In this opening spread, imagine, they didn't know we were, they couldn't bury us, we were seeds. there is a prompt. And so why don't you take some time and respond to this prompt? I'll read it out loud to you. Visualize yourself talking to a large group of women or girls about your dreams of justice for every woman and girl. Then describe how you want to make this dream of yours come true.
Okay, say that again, and let's put it in the chat if we can. Read it.
So the idea here, I'm open the page again.
Read, yeah. So everybody's going to put it in the chat so we can share it. Think about this, write it down. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Visualize yourself talking to a large group of women or girls about your dreams of justice for every woman and girl, right? Then describe how you want to take responsibility, how you want to commit to making that dream come true. So the idea here is, what is that one thing, right? What is that first thing you're going to do because you're committed to justice? Write that down if you think about it.
I love it. Go ahead, take your in the room if everybody wants to put something in the chat. Oh, organize. Jenny Kitchen, I see organize come up. You can look in the chat. Yesterday, while everybody's thinking about this, talking about what you want to do, is boy, I was really angry. I was walking, listening to hearings, and what I you know, it was just sort of like really wanted to stand up and show up, and just that, and you know, kind of push back and fight back. That was just amazingly. I felt kind of powerless. So this activity today feels like trying to take back that feeling of empowerment. What else we got in here? Work on the ERA passage, perseverance, get out the vote from Franny. I think that's Franny, maybe from California's back with us. If you can look in the chat, if anything grabs you. Oh, Deanna did this in 1974, started first rape treatment center in USA. Run for Congress.
See, the range of ideas is fabulous.
Yes, it is great. You know, I think it starts with that gem of ideas, and then it's, I think, also being with other people to make it happen. And I agree with you, making this positive impact. Right now, a lot of us and people have been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Elaine Davis, I see her up here with her hand up, been doing it forever, that we do need to kind of sometimes refocus us. So we're so thankful you came in the room today. Thank you for being here. Let's go over now. I know the delegate Roehm is here. Talk about history makers. I want to say a few things. You know, I think about, you're very special to a lot of us in the room because you really were a part of that history making freshman class that got in and back in 2017, you were part of the most diverse class that went in of women and men we elected. And you earned worldwide attention when you unseated the author of the bathroom bill. And I'm sure you remember Bob Marshall, and you became Virginia's first openly transgender elected official. And you were a reporter before that. You knew your district very well, and you ran against Bob Marshall. What courage that must have taken. He was the chief homophobe, as he was known, you know. But you had one of the classiest responses, most gracious responses to him, that you did not make any rude comments back to him. You basically said, I don't attack my constituents. This is after you won. Bob is my constituent now. And you were a master class, my friend, in how to run for office. And I'm just so grateful that you're here today, because you're telling your story is so important. So, and just some reactions in the room and running for Emerge today. You knew what it was going to be like to step up to run for office. Maybe you saw the Judge Jackson suffer these attacks when you're the first. And now, you did it anyway. So talk about that. Why did you step up and run?
Well, thank you, Catherine. Good to see everyone, by the way, as well. I stepped up and ran for office so I could fix Route 28. That's why. And as a member of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, I got to vote for the third and final standard project agreement needed to authorize the construction that's going on right now over in Centerville on the 6th Landing. So that's a good start, but obviously we still have to take care of Yorkshire Manassas Park here in the part of the district I represent. So my plan is actually done now, and we just need to secure the $56 million in order to get it, implemented. And the stuff I'm actually doing on that is, we're tracking down like 4 different revenue streams right now. So it's a whole thing. I know that's not why you all asked me to come on here, but that is why I ran for office. And my predecessor spent more time, trying to regulate where I went to the bathroom than how his constituents got to work. And so I said, oh, you're bad at your job. I can do it better. And well, I have, because we've now passed 32 of my bills. And I've been in there for 2.5 years, or 2.5 terms now. And he passed 64 bills lifetime. If I'm passing half as many in my first 3 terms before I even get done with my 3rd term, I think that says night and day difference. Like, this is how you can work across the aisle and in order to get stuff done, regardless of whether you're in the minority or the majority. All 32 of my bills have had bipartisan support, and that even includes my non-discrimination and trans healthcare bill. Even that one got a Republican in the House and a Republican in the Senate to, on board. And so if I'm able to, basically show people, hey, look, you can actually have really strong values, and that doesn't preclude you from talking with other people across the aisle. It doesn't mean that, you're going to be some sellout or you're going to do whatever else, simply because you've learned how to, work the system and how to, do your job. At the end of the day, he sent me to Richmond so I can go pass bills and pass other good bills and, vote against bad bills. And that's what I do. It's like, that's fine.
I think too, it's what, Democrats, like what we try to focus on is making people's lives better. And I think, like I said, when I really said you're a master class in how it is to run for office, people do want to talk about, oh, it's like being the first Black person, being the first transgender. These are history making, because representation matters. We saw the Judge Jackson yesterday saying that her being there means a lot to a lot of people. You being where you are means a lot. But then you get to the job, and the job is representing your constituent, and the job is changing their lives. And I think that maybe because you were the news reporter, you just were totally connected with what people needed. So that's amazing. And then getting to the next part of this conversation, and we were so thrilled to see you become the new executive director of Emerge Virginia. And I think, like, I saw a tweet that was made that you retweeted about, imagine if 30 years ago when Anita Hill was running, if we spent a lot of time investing and training women to run for office, where would we be now? So now you are in this position and to run Emerge and to train. So tell us some of your ideas around this. I mean, what are you thinking about? What do you plan to bring as this new executive director?
Sure. So the first thing is that the National Virtual Boot Camp is coming up the last week of April and the first day of May. And I'm pretty sure I saw at least one person, for whatever reason, I can't get the comments thing to open up, but like every now and then the bubble will pop up.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw one of our applicants, Pooja Khanna, out of Loudoun County. And by the way, Pooja, 3 different Emerge alumni who were elected officials all contacted me about you. So I was sure to mention that to the higher up folks. Like, she is beloved. Like, would you call her in for an interview, just to remember that part. So, it is a competitive process in order to get in to the National Boot Camp, but at the same time, she's certainly doing everything right now, I would certainly say. And I gave her a very high recommendation, but we'll see what happens after that. But, so the time I got in on February 22nd until the application deadline, the first one part for it to end was March 15th, and they gave me an extra 3 days. And so I had like less than a month to basically go from 1 person who had completed applications to 11 now, which is really good. And what we're really emphasizing is making sure that our new American majority is represented at the table, and the people who are applying, the people who are looking for. This is not to say that we don't want we don't want, someone who's, a Democratic woman who's just well qualified. She just happens to be a cis-het white woman. That's fine. You can apply too. That's great. But we're also making sure that we are doing the outreach, because it's a lot different to just put up a hashtag and something on your social media, because it assumes that people are, number one, following you, and number two, are coming to you. It's a lot different for you to having that position of power, going out into the community and saying, hey, I've heard you would be really good. I would love to bring you on board. And some of the Democratic women we have who are these applicants, oh my, I am so stupid excited about this right now. Like, it is amazing. We have one candidate, I'm not going to reveal everyone's names and everything, but I will say we have a candidate for state senate who would be an instant powerhouse to flip a seat red to blue. And I mean, like, powerhouse candidate who could do that. Yeah, I'm like,
you're excited. I could tell.
Like, I have a chair of a county board of supervisors who wants to run for House of Delegates. Who's
that's a mystery. Now you got me titillated here. Now I'm like,
Yep, we got one of them to apply. We have some people who would be very familiar to people who work on policy in Richmond, for example, and a lot of other areas. We've got a couple Latina candidates here in Greater Prince William, one in City Manassas, one in Prince William County, who are both looking to run for elections, one for this year and one for next year. Super stoked about like the skill sets they bring to the table. They're so good. We've put an emphasis on AAPI women as well. Nice. And we have a couple of African American women, we have biracial women, we have 4 LGBTQ women who have applied, including 2 trans women, and 1 queer woman and 1 bi person. And so, like, I just feel so good about the representation. The one thing I wish we had more of, and that when I launched the Virginia Signature Program, we are going to make sure we do, is regional diversity. So we are very good for Northern Virginia. We have some folks from Greater Richmond, which is good, but we are severely lacking in Hampton Roads right now, and Southwest, South Side, the Valley, Tidewater. So one of my first initiatives, now that we're through the recruiting phase for the boot camp, is I'm going to set out to have 11 fundraisers in person in each congressional district across the state that I will also like to use as recruiting events for women to come into the signature program that we will highly likely, hopefully, be hosting late fall and winter. Basically, I'm hoping it'll be October until March. And so what I would like for y'all who are watching this today, please contact me at danica@emergeva.org. If you have a really super badass Democratic woman in mind who you think needs to get trained to run for office, send her my way. And I don't care if you're in Big Stone Gap or whether you're in Chincoteague. Send me someone and I will train her.
I can tell you, Danica, this is the room, as I say, where it happens. I see Jenny Kitchen in here. I know Lindley Thorne is in here, and Rural Ground Game is really doing this kind of candidate recruitment. I would suggest y'all talk. This is how we get things connected and happening. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to just hear more about all these people that are going to be coming out of your program. And just so you know, in Prince William County, it is happening. Tomorrow is an event at 2 p.m. with Abigail Spanberger, Senator Warner, and all the badass elected women in Prince William County, from Brianna Sewell to Elizabeth Guzman. We need to see you there at 2 p.m.
I have a family commitment that I cannot get out of tomorrow, so I will not be able to be there. But that's okay. I will be there for another thing in the future.
I was just sort of shilling that event, but it is tomorrow in Prince William County. So help me to support that, Danica. And if we can put the link in the room so people know how to get there tomorrow at 2. Thank you as usual, and thank you for your advocacy for people running for office. Thank you so much. And we're always a fast-paced show. You know how it is. We need to make sure we get everybody in. And I want to bring on Fennell Norton. She's going to host the segment with our wonderful, fantastic congressional women running for Congress. So Fennell, we'd spotlight Fennell, please, because she is going to do this segment with Victoria and Allie. And hello, Fennell. Thank you. I need to take a break, as we say. So thank you for doing this segment. I'll be back on.
Thank you. Hi, Allie. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Fennell? Super excited to be here today.
Good, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Victoria, it's lovely to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Great, so let's jump right into it. You guys, you guys are both doing challenger races. And so this is going to be so interesting. So Allie, I'll start with you. Tell me why you decided to do this.
So there are a lot of reasons, and we don't have time to go into all of them. But basically, I felt genuinely that the policy direction of the incumbent was not where I wanted to be. I feel we need to have a healthcare system where people don't go broke trying to get the care they need. I feel genuinely that every child should have a chance to fulfill their potential. So we need universal high quality pre-K all the way through free public college and trade schools, since a child's zip code before the age of 8 should not determine their success in life. And since going to college, we're the only affluent country that doesn't already provide that. And so much research has shown that a college degree is so necessary for achieving full potential. And frankly, you know, sending a kid to Nova costs $6,000. Sending that same kid to prison for a year in Virginia is $21,000. So it just makes fiscal sense. And I spent 30 years as a natural resources professional, and I've got a number of awards and whatever. Served on the Obama Climate Task Force. And I think we need to stop paying lip service to dealing with the climate crisis. I'm a Virginia Green New Deal champion. I've signed the Activate Virginia No Fossil Fuel pledges, and I'm ready to actually put policies in place to take action. So those are the reasons I was running.
Thank you. And it is CD11. And so we'll come back and we'll talk a little more about that. Victoria, hello.
Hi.
Hi there. You're doing also a contested race. It will be a contested primary. So tell us in this.
Yeah, you know, I just want to take a step back, and, you know, my parents are both immigrants. They did not live in democracies. I believe so fundamentally that democracy is one of the things that makes this country amazing. Primaries are one of them. You know, I think that primaries are important to providing a wide variety of voices at the table. And we should think about it as, you know, an election and not as this challenger. I mean, we are both really excited, both myself and the incumbent, to be in this race. And I'm grateful for his welcome into this race. I'm running, you know, for 2 reasons. There's legislative reasons and legislative priorities. My background is in the technology industry. I worked in the education space, as well as for Senator Dianne Feinstein, who is a mentor, and I've seen how it works in the halls of Congress. And I'm also running for this other reason of the, you know, this fight that we're in. It's not just about this race. It's not just about Northern Virginia. It's about, like we've been talking about on this call, the whole of Virginia, expanding the electorate, making sure we're engaging younger, diverse voters, which, by the way, I've never seen Republican inroads in working class immigrant communities that I grew up in Northern Virginia like I saw this past November. The shifts in the electorate are real. And we have a moment right now to bring them back, but we need to do it with the right messaging, with candidates that can reach into those networks, because that's what makes the Democratic Party amazing, is when we build a bench of diverse candidates that all offer different things. But when we work together, when every single person on this call works together, the things we can accomplish is tremendous. And between the legislative priorities and expanding the electorate and making sure that we're investing today to keep Virginia blue, those are my motivations for running for the Congressional District CD8.
So I think that is fantastic. And I want to step back, because I think the point that you make is really important. Allie, you're running against a very, very popular Congressman Connolly, and you, Victoria, for the primary, Congressman Beyer. And so folks will say, why on earth are you doing that? And so you just talked about why it's so important to have different voices. I want to give you guys, we're really short on time, so I'm going to ask you just to sort of step back for a second and take a nugget about why it's so important to have your voices out there right now.
So I'll take that first. So, you know, 50% of this district in this country are women. I'm a widow, a single mom. I've been trying to deal with COVID and everything else like so many people. 26% of our representatives are women. We need more women in office. And frankly, we need people who have experience dealing with the day-to-day struggles. You know, I got an email. So Victoria and I are both going to these Zoom meetings, these district meetings, and you would be amazed at the comments that we get, which are like, can't wait to vote for your opponent. Get out, shut up, you know, horrible comments. These are not democratic comments, but they're coming from the FCDC. And the reality is that we need to be open to the choices. And we send out these emails, and I got a response to an email from one of the emails we sent out. And it was someone who said, "Thank you so much for the reminder to vote on June 21st. I put it in my calendar, to vote for Connolly." And I was just so fed up, right? And so I replied, "Thank you so much for taking the time to respond to my email instead of just hitting the unsubscribe button. I'm going to guess that you are an affluent white male over the age of 70. If that's the case, Jerry is your guy. I'm here for the rest of us," right? And that's why I'm running. And that's why I think we need to make sure that we are, supporting candidates like me and like Victoria, because it's time for another voice. The affluent white male has dominated our systems, our economic systems, our political systems, our social systems. And it's time for us, as Danica's video says, it's time for us to stop asking permission and start doing stuff.
Thank you, Allie. Victoria?
I completely agree with Allie. We need female voices at the table. It's not just about passing the right legislation, voting on the right legislation. It's the questions that you ask at the hearings. It's the issues that you advocate on: childcare, universal pre-K, Roe versus Wade. The women's reproductive rights are on the line right now. What are we doing to combat that? I believe that when you have, as I've seen it, when you have women at the table, it's a different type of leadership. It's a different type of conversation, one that I believe is additive to the leaders that we have already. Look, I believe that supporting either Allie or myself in this race is not a vote against the congressman that we're running against. It's a vote for the future. I think we have to stop thinking about this as pitting one against the other and just thinking about, we're in this race, look at both of the candidates, look at what they're proposing to you, and think about your vote as a vote not just for today, but it's for the children, it's for our future generation, and it's for creating a bridge towards a future here in Virginia that we can do today in 2022.
Well, I think that you guys, you're two very, very important voices. And so I will end this segment with a quote from Madeleine Albright, which I think is appropriate. "I've said this many times, that there seems to be enough room in the world for mediocre men, but not enough for mediocre women. And we really have to work very, very hard." I say you guys are definitely not mediocre. And thank you so much for getting in this race. Catherine?
Thank you. So great to have you guys in the room. And thank you, Allie. Thank you, Victoria. And it's true. I'll just have to say one thing is, I think the thing about the primary, it's funny in the party, there's a certain behavior around it. And there is this, it's just hard to get used to that, because what we know, we're trying to build a bench. And I just feel like too, when you're in these rooms listening to candidates, if you don't have to put stuff in the chat that's ultimately rude. It really bothers me when I do see that. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I totally feel like we could be supportive, even if you're not supporting that particular candidate. And it makes all the difference as Democrats that we just support each other. We're a big party. We have our big girl pants on today. We could do everything. So for now, we know what time it is. And so glad you're all in the room. I am every woman, and so are you. So we'll see you soon. See you next week. Stay in the after chat.